So another concept that we need to take into account is scientific notation. So a number can be expressed as the product of a number between 1 and 10 times 10 raised to a power. So this is just another way that we can write out very large or very small numbers to make it easier to read. And scientific notation is actually also useful for indicating the significant figures in a measurement. So in significant figures, the exponent on the 10 is going to tell you how many places that the decimal point was moved, either to the right or the left, just after the first digit. So if we wanted to write 215 in scientific notation, you always want to put the decimal place after the first digit. So you want to get the decimal place back to where you only have a digit in the ones position. So in this case, we are going to want our number to be 2.15. And so to get that number, we have to move the decimal place from here over 2 places. So our exponent on the 10 is going to be the number 2. So we could say that this is equal to 2.15 times 100, or 2.15 times 10 times 10. So there's 2 tens, and so we represent that as 10 to the 2. So our scientific notation is 2.15 times 10 to the power 2. So if you're expressing a number that is smaller than 1 in scientific notation, the decimal point is going to be moved to the right until it follows the first digit. So if you start out here, you've got to move this decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positions until you get the first digit in the ones position. So if you're moving it to the right, then your exponent is going to be negative, and so this indicates that you have a very small number. If your exponent is positive, it's going to indicate that you have a very big number. So if you're converting a small number written in scientific notation to standard notation, the process is going to be reversed. If you have a positive exponent, you're going to move the decimal place to the right. So this indicates that you have a big number. If you have a number that's written in scientific notation that has a negative exponent, you'll have to move the decimal point to the left. And this indicates that you have a very small number. And then only the significant numbers are going to be used in your calculation or in your designation. So again, if we take a look here, if we start with this number, you're going to see that we have to move the decimal place to the right to put this number into scientific notation. Once we have it written in scientific notation, if we put it back into standard notation, we're going to have to move the decimal place to the left because this is a negative exponent. So negative exponent of -8 means that you have a very small number, so you increasingly have to make this a very, very small number. If this was a positive 8, you'd move that decimal place to the right, and that would indicate that you have a very large number. So remember, if you have a negative exponent, you've got a very small number. If you have a positive exponent, then you're going to have a larger number. So again, in our example of 215, we move the decimal place 2 positions to the left to give us 2.15. And since this started out as a big number that we made into a smaller number, our exponent has to be positive. So our exponent is 2 in this case. If we start out with a small number and we have to move our decimal place to the right, this case we have to move it 1, 2, 3 positions. And so this is like saying that we have 2.15 times 1 over 1,000, or 1 over 10 times 10 times 10, or 1 over 10 to the third. And so we can say that this is 10 to the -3. So that indicates that if we're putting this back into standard notation, that we would have to move our decimal place back to the left and recover our small number. So these are just some more practice samples that you can do. Again, if we're going to convert this number back into standard notation, the +4 indicates that it's a large number, so we're going to have to move our decimal place to the right and make this a very big number. So we move it 4 places, and we end up with 37,962 as our answer. In this case, when we're recovering this number, The -8 indicates that it's a very small number, so we have to move our decimal place to make this number a very small number. And we move it out 8 places until we get 0.000000156. And that is scientific notation.